Imagine this. A young Corsican officer rises through chaos, outsmarts kings, crowns himself emperor, and makes all of Europe tremble. That's Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who scared so many monarchs they literally declared war on him personally. Sabaton's I Emperor turns that life into a thunderous, first-person power metal anthem. But how much of it is true? Let's find out. I'll take command, I'll take the army, I'll take the crown, my mandate to rule. That's Napoleon in a nutshell. He takes command of the army of Italy in 1796, wins a string of victories, becomes the revolution's golden boy. By 1799, he's done playing soldier. He overthrows the government in a coup and names himself first consul. Then, in 1804, he invites the Pope to his coronation at Notre Dame Cathedral, and then grabs the crown himself before the Pope can even move. Yeah, power move of the century. The lyrics, "My mandate to rule," nails it perfectly. No divine right, no royal lineage, just pure audacity. Now, know that I will enforce the code that bears my name. That line's a really rare case of heavy metal legal history. Yeah, the Code Napoleon, introduced in 1804, unified French law and enshrined civil rights, property ownership, and secular government. And it's still influential today, from Europe to Latin America. Only Sabaton would actually make law reform sound like a battle cry. I will conquer all, I will rule you. Between 1805 and 1812, Napoleon dominates Europe. Austerlitz, Jena, Wagram, victory after victory. Conquer all is a stretch, but for a few years it's not far off. Britain still rules the seas, and Russia ends up his frozen downfall. But continental Europe, pretty much his backyard, with relatives being installed as rulers everywhere. Europe will tremble beneath my will. Yeah, it most definitely did that. Kings bowed, maps changed, and armies trembled wherever the French eagles marched. May it be that 5 million dead's my legacy. A chilling line, but not far off. Historians estimate between 3 and 6 million people died in the Napoleonic Wars. I mean, the number's poetic, but the scale of destruction is real. And he was notoriously careless of his own troops' lives, commenting to a general who complained after a battle that the ladies of Paris in one night could replace all the losses on that field. For 20 years you've joined me on a path to glory. Farewell, my children, farewell. I love that line. That's straight from his farewell to the old guard at Fontainebleau in 1814, when he called his soldiers his children. The timeline works too. About 20 years from his first campaign in 1796 to his fall in 1815. Although if I was being picky, the Imperial Guard was only formed in 1804, tracing their lineage to the Consular Guard of 1799. But the Guard were already veterans when recruited, so some of them would have been 20-year veterans. And here's the twist Sabaton doesn't spell out. When he does escape Elba for the final comeback of the 100 Days, the Allied powers didn't declare war on France. They declared war on Napoleon himself. That's how much one man terrified Europe. And within months came Waterloo, the final showdown, the fall of the Emperor and the end of that era. They fear me still, though my throne's long gone, for history remembers my name. Absolutely accurate. Napoleon's legacy is enormous. Military genius, reformer, self-made monarch, dictator. It's a complex picture. Even his enemies, though, respected him. Wellington himself once said, his presence on the battlefield made the difference of 40,000 men. 2 centuries later, the name still commands respect and argument. And let's look at the music video. Sabaton stages a Napoleonic battle of Waterloo as a literal wargame, something I really appreciated as a wargamer myself. Apparently Parr was and may still be a gamer, apparently even providing some of the figures. So if the band see this, please let me know. I'd love to game with you or chat with you about gaming. And speaking of gaming, the Battle of Waterloo ended, as we all know, in a French defeat. But in war games, it's often replayed with a French victory on the day, because when it happened in real life, there were so many French mistakes, and they threw away what should have been a win. As a result, alternative history isn't new. French writers, from Victor Hugo in Les Miserables to later Romantics, spent decades finding excuses for the loss, such as illness. To them, Waterloo wasn't the end of Napoleon, it was the start of his legend. And Sabaton tapped straight into that energy. Tragedy turned myth, defeat turned immortality. For me, though, it was a brilliant cooperation between the Anglo-Dutch under Wellington and the Prussians under Blücher, with maybe a little help from Richard Sharp. But even Waterloo didn't end the legend of Napoleon, and Sabaton have another great history lesson here wrapped up in metal, and I thoroughly enjoyed the song.